This transit of Gemini new moon, also Mercury Sun conjunction, is going to help you tremendously in fulfilling your destiny. That is through the heart soul urge expression, numerological value. If that is something you don't understand, you need to schedule a natal birth chart reading with me to understand how this looks like for you. Understand? Now, concerning Mercury, the ethereal conjunction with the sun, this is certainly going to help you to incorporate strong communication, networking, and the processing of data, facts, information, useful information that directly benefits, serves, and empowers your need to express your heart soul urge. It is going to have a direct correlation through your intention of how information is here to serve your destiny, using information to empower yourself toward your destiny. Once you get knowledge and information involved, power is truly initiated. Understand? Concerning the moon conjunct the sun or new moon, this is a new beginning, a 6-month phase in which you allow the hindsight of your experience to help you to gauge on what are realistic outlooks, ideals of alignment that you could express your heart soul urge vibration through. What experiences do I have? What talents and gifts do I have? What emotional capacity do I have? And what community support do I have to pull this off? Over the next 6 months, you will align all those factors of the self with a projected strategy that will make this all a reality. So the memory of the moon and the foresight of Mercury comes together to bring knowledge, information, communications, and networking together as a way to empower your deepest and most authentic expression in your life. Seeing your own interests and your own purpose as your priority, and no longer subscribing to illusions, propaganda, coercion, or feeling shame of the shadows that you have, as at this Scorpio transit of Black Moon Lilith, Vesta, as well as Juno, is empowering us to incorporate those shadows by releasing the shame, the guilt, the fear, or fear of rejection around those emotional attachments that had us to suppress parts of ourselves that were key to becoming ourselves. The story gets written different from here on. These energies are bringing in revolutionary attitude, rebellious attitude, but not without a cause. It has a collective outlook that is greater than the individual outlook. And we will look into what that means. If you need to know for you specifically on an individual basis what this transit will look like, you need to schedule a reading. This is more so a collective outlook than it is an individual outlook, as all videos are. You will not be able to guess what I would tell you. You will not be able to guess what I will explain to you. You will not be able to guess what I will uncover for you by using your natal birth chart. You will only know what I will have to tell you about your natal birth chart by scheduling a personal reading. Understand? So this is more so a collective outlook. Like, share, comment, subscribe, show your support, and thank you. You're going to find that this transit has a lot to do with not putting the conclusions that you arrive at into other people's hands, not allowing media, propaganda, the common opinion, the public opinion, the most influential, charismatic, or beautiful people with cell phones who give you messaging, who give you interpretation, or who give you life instruction, so on and so forth, or their strong opinions. This is detaching us from those lazy habits. It is getting out of the intellectual laziness and getting back into the performance of intellectual process, discipline, focus, and effort to really arrive at conclusions and understandings that gives us more accuracy, consistency, and authenticity in how we relate to our world. Through this transit, we have a restoration of the independent thought and a revival of the conscience. That is conscience. Understand? Conscience. That is the moral compass within. The moral compass was obscured beginning at the Obama era, where African American females, posed as the Trojan horses or useful idiots to bring in cancel culture, which was designed to detach us from our conscience, where we could hear the voice of God tell us the difference between right and wrong, good or bad, truth or false. This is the restoration of that faculty within ourselves, so that we could utilize it as a compass, an oracle, a guide through lunar force or lunar power. It's something that we have to learn to value again, to cherish again, to honor, and never sell it. Never sell it for acceptance or the threat of rejection. We now are receiving it back. We have to have a conscience, because the conscience is what allows us to navigate propaganda. It allows us to navigate deals with the devil. It's a small, still voice inside, the conviction that we have, that tells us right from wrong, good or bad, that poses as a guiding compass so that we remain in integrity, the security of integrity, the security of righteousness, the fortress and the armor of righteousness. Without the conscience, we rip away at the only layer of security that the inner child has, because it gets us closer to desperation, to sell the soul, to reason with darkness, to reason with evil, to sell our identity so that we no longer can be decisive about what is right, wrong, good, or bad for us in our lives, for our future, the bigger picture. We become products, slaves to our addictions, slaves to situationships, dead-end jobs, lifestyles that manifest no happiness, no fulfillment, no meaning, but survival. We become dangerous to ourselves and others because we don't have a conscience. Females, through feminism and liberalism, they actively eroded the conscience. Right, wrong, good, or bad has become something very confusing until recent times, where it's being revived. And you have females to thank for that, especially African American females who were the most vocal of this liberal movement that we just came out of. Parents had to actively get involved to protect their children from what was coming. And we missed the bullet by the skin of a tooth. Understand, we never want to go down that road again. Where Obama used African American females, liberals, gays, trans, and other liberal characters of society to bring in the full reality of Satan, the full reality of the devil out into society, where anything is good or right, where anything goes. There is no shame. There is no right or wrong. There is no God. Everything goes. This is restoration of the conscious, so we don't have to repeat that, because it puts us in a desperate position with ourselves, with our children, with our families, and we sell everything that we can't get back. We sell everything that should have never had a price. We sell what is invaluable. And the devil trades it for a very cheap price. With our conscience being restored, we're now able to determine what true value is. And only the Spirit can know what true value is. Only the Spirit. The small, still voice within, who we call God, that carries the voice of the inner child, the voice of our mothers. To be in tune with it again. So as we create going forward, we do so without violating the highest laws of the highest court, Sagittarius and Jupiter, staying in the grace and protection of that vibration that we agreed to uphold, codes of righteousness. Never going astray from it. We could create our authentic reality without selling our souls, without selling our morals and our values, without becoming something that we should regret, without making deals with the devil. We're going to go our own way. And this time, we're going to remember that some things you can't put a price on. And some things should never be gambled or sold. Some things have a value that you do not get back, if you should even hesitate to sell it. If we didn't learn anything else, I hope we learn that. Especially the African American female community. New curiosities. Gemini, Newmoon, Luna. New investigations and assessments. Mercury Sun conjunction. This is a big deal. It's a glorious opportunity. Overall, these are components of a revolutionary era. A time in our evolution where we become the revolutionaries. It's seeds of rebellion, seeds of revolution, seeds of rejection, of conformity, restriction, deceit. The status quo now doesn't stand a chance. This is where the intelligence of the people, the awareness of the people, the consciousness of the people it becomes an authentic force again, no longer controlled or constricted by cancel culture, propaganda, political narratives, or generational curses that had us to submit to narratives that were simply untrue. Now, the new moon in Gemini will connect our emotional sensitivities, our emotional investment, our emotional capacity with the force of information, the force of knowledge. We now will react, respond to new revelations. Words, information, data, secrets revealed. It's not going to have the effect of just being something we read or hear. But information now is going to move us. It's going to move us. It's going to possess us. There's going to be a personal connection to what we hear and see. Truth is coming out, and the truth that comes out will inspire, out of most of us, revolutionaries. This can take place in the family, the work environment, the political plane, society. All of us have Gemini at different houses of the 12 houses. That will clarify where this takes place. But however, this starts a chapter of being moved by the information, being provoked by the information, possessed and charged by the information. This is an awakening of the ethereal expressions of the spirit. It's different when we feel emotional about what we know, emotional about what we think, emotional about what we're reading, seeing and hearing, and saying. Passion slips into that, and it gets contagious. It spreads like a fire. Or in the case of Gemini, it moves like the wind. This is seeding a spirit of zeal that's on the way. Zealous intellectualism. That bursts open doors of limitations, that challenges status quo, that gives resistance to what we were expected to conform to. These things will end in coups and rebellions in every country, every industry. Intuitively, many of us will take a long line of our experience and wisdom, our skills, through this lunar aspect of Gemini, and we will repurpose it to express new possibilities. We've gotten good at something. We've gotten skilled at something. Something that serves an agenda that left us outside. Something that serves a value that we only get a fraction of. Now experience matches with greater awareness of what's beyond the limitations, of what's behind that fence, of what possibly could be if the chain breaks, if the door unlocks, if we step outside of the rings of Saturn. That's what our preoccupation will be. What will happen if I step outside of that? If I give a little pushback, I'm going to call the bluff. As I say this, bring to mind in your natal birth chart, where do you have Gemini? Well, this is where that's going to take place for you. Knowing that all that was to be done within the inner ring of Saturn, it is accomplished. And there is nothing in it for us. And if we're going to have a portion, we have to step outside of that ring. We have to take that risk. And we have to have the courage to lead the way in doing so. That's where this begins. Your voice is your greatest weapon right here, Gemini. Your lungs are the force of nature here, Gemini. Your intelligence. Concerning the ethereal, Sun conjunct Mercury, there's been a fog in so many Pisces transits, with the stellium leaving out of Pisces into Aries, Neptune entering into Aries, Saturn finally entering into Aries. The fog now clarifies through Mercury Cazimi, or properly said, Mercury-Sun conjunction. This conjunction, it places the source of our cognition in direct contact with the soul's impulse. It is a direct read of the soul to the ethereal. And what this does is it gives context to the cognitive mind. This is where we no longer see the interests of the establishment, what's in it for what's containing us, or who is containing us, what's in it for who is managing us or controlling us. But this is where our intelligence now serves ourself. Our awareness now serves ourself. The cognitive now has reserved interests in what is best for self, the destiny of self, looking out for self. This is not to be misunderstood as selfish, but a basis of self-preservation. I see what my talents can do for you, I see what my skills has done for this company. I see what my intelligence and my strength has done for this organization, for this group. But now I'm going to see what it can do for me. I'm also going to have access to the information, networking, that enables me to find the attitude, the nerve, the audacity to act on it. Because now the soul is getting a direct read with the mind. That's a powerful influence. And what the soul does is it reads to the cognitive mind, the heart, soul, urge, vibration, or expression. And it's Mercury that recognizes where that expression can take place, or how that expression can take place, through a read of intelligence in the environment, the circumstance, or resources. To summarize, this is the heart, soul, urge expression that merges with our communications, and also with our read of opportunities. What that results in is empowerment through information, empowerment through research, empowerment through analyzation, empowerment through networking on behalf of the heart, soul, urge expression, the inner child. We still have Mars at Leo, which is an algorithm of the sun. And with Mars at Leo, building its way up to the last decan or 10 degrees of Leo, this is where the fight begins. The fight for self, to be expressed most authentically. Mars fighting for the sun, in which the sun is now Cazimi, Mercury, or conjunct Mercury, that is. There is clarity behind that. It creates accuracy in the hit, accuracy in the shot, confidence, to grow bold behind what we know now, what we observe, what we calculate, what we measure. Measure twice and cut once. If we look at a comparison between the lunar conjunction with the sun and the ethereal conjunction with the sun, the ethereal is reading the present moment for where the most authentic expression of the self can take place. How can I use this reality to master and establish my expression? These circumstances. What do I have at my disposal? What effective communications can I take upon to make it real? Intuitively, through the lunar conjunction with the sun, it's hindsight. What experiences do I have to justify my authentic expression? What wisdom do I have to justify my most authentic expression? So Mercury is the foresight that we now will be opening up to. And the moon is the insight that we will be aligning with. And all of this serving the heart, soul, urge expression. You have a beam of light behind your head, a beam of light before your head. That is the moon and Mercury. Okay? They are one and the same, but in opposite directions. Mercury absorbs and picks up data. The moon reflects data of the sun's travel. Okay? It reflects the data, the reads, the experiences of the sun's travel. Where has the sun been? What has the sun experienced in its route? Okay? And this is since the full moon Gemini. What have you experienced since full moon Gemini? Full moon Gemini was Sunday, December 15th, 2024. Okay? So since that time, concerning the Gemini platform or the house in your natal birth chart in which Gemini rules, what have you experienced in that theme of your life since December 15th? This is what you have in that new moon as insight. You already have that wisdom. So over the next 6 months, you will accumulate new wisdom in how to establish the heart, soul, urge expression into your reality through intelligence, through connections, through communications, through expansion of your awareness. This is an intuitive journey. Using all of your experiences and your wisdom and your insight to empower that action in your life. This does spell breaking out of conformity. As it goes with Mercury, it's about what we observe. Look, listen, observe. What we imply, what we infer. The conversations we have, the information that we absorb and read, the knowledge that we prepare ourselves with, our connections, that will determine an active recon on the circumstances that you're in. And that recon, you're collecting the information that lets you know what approach or strategy to take in the rebellion for the self, the revolution for the self. How will I break free? How will I become? Intelligence and information determines this. Mercury ruling Virgo, not only Gemini. This does include intuitively, again, relating to the moon, because it's at the south node. Virgo is at the south node. Therefore, this is an intuitive blend through Virgo that we're realizing there's things that we have to fast from. There's things that were not working in our favor, that were to our detriment. And that clarification is going to be there through this Cazimi. Or, well, I keep using Cazimi, this conjunction of the Mercury Sun. Clarification of where are my addictions? Where are my habits? Where is my lack of discipline, lack of authority, lack of control in my life? Where's my lack of obedience? Where do I need to give some things up? Where do I need to prepare through discipline? Where am I at in my process of refinement? Have I given up on refinement of the self? What is my plan for refinement? It's the pessimistic view of the self. Where can I improve? Where can I do better? Again, all of this is ethereal, just as much as it is through Gemini. Gemini and Virgo. The South Node is where the number 9 is held, which works against the detriment of Venus. Where am I bound by Venus? Where am I distracted by Venus? Where do I have addictions through Venus? Where am I exploiting myself through Venus? I've got to get focused. Venus is like the pretty Barbie doll girlfriend that you got, who takes nothing serious. She's just there for sensationalism. And here you are, this revolutionary, who has to figure out how to break free, how to get to the so-called promised land. But you're distracted by your little Barbie doll girlfriend. She wants to travel. She wants to go to the 5-star restaurant. She wants to go have drinks and all these other things. She want to turn up. She want to hit the streets. She want to argue about lovey-dovey. But you have revolution on the table. Are you focused enough? Are you sincere enough? Are you sober enough to tell her now's not the time? There are other things that really needs my attention right now. Are you mature enough, sober enough to make such decisions when it comes to Venus? For you, this could be drugs, lust with women, gambling. It could be addictions of any kind. Things that preoccupy you, takes your attention and energy, and sucks you dry of productivity. What gets in the way of your productivity? What blinds you from the focus, the aim that you have ahead of you? Because you have a job to do, and that job is to set yourself free. That job is to get free. It's to break loose from the chains of systems, conformity, social constrictions, jobs that exploit and oppress you, so on and so forth. You have a mindset to set free. We just came through liberalism and feminism. You have a mindset to set free, to get free from how much that has contaminated your consciousness and programmed you to think in certain ways. You're not allowed to say the truth. You're not allowed to call out the obvious. Where have we been conforming? Most of that is in liberalism and feminism. Most of that is in corporate social engineering. blowing smoke up your behind, pissing on you and calling it rain, making you seem crazy for what you know you see, but they tell you that you're not seeing what you're seeing. You're not hearing what you heard. Or there's a misunderstanding if you know what you know. If all else doesn't work, you get canceled. Your job scared. We're going to fire you if. We're not going to pay you if. We're not going to monetize you if. We have a job to do to find our way out of these landmines, these tripwires, to get to where we get to be the authentic version of ourselves, the real person, without penalty, without punishment. This starts the 6-month process of becoming the people who process information according to their freedom, not according to fear, who process experiences, the moon, okay? Information, Mercury, experiences, the moon, okay? So this is about processing information, Mercury, and processing the moon in consideration of who you are, the sun. Knowing what is your calling now. Now that I know what my calling is, I'm going to process this information in order to know what my role is in this experience. According to who I know I am, I'm going to process this experience, the moon, to know what it means for my destiny. I'm going to use it as an oracle to verify. What is my portion of service? This is both parts of the mind that's standing in clear sight of the identity, the heart, the sun. That clear sight has us to focus on where we're going with it without getting distracted by what shines, what sounds fancy, or the propaganda around selling ideas as your own, or selling lifestyles as your best interests. But this is where you decide for yourself, because your heart, your soul is connected to the experience and to the read of the room. It's connected now. Let me give an example. Let's say you have a heart soul urge 1. You know your role is not to be a follower. Your role is to be a leader. So, the information that I'm getting, the reconnaissance that I'm performing over the situation, the circumstance of my life, I'm getting a read in order to inform myself on a strategy and how to show up for that responsibility that is my divine calling, to be out front, to assume responsibility. What do I need to know to be responsible? What do I need to know to perform my duties? Do I have awareness of responsibilities and duties of what my destiny would call me to perform? It looks like an active pursuit of competence. Actively pursuing competence. And through the moon, what have I learned? What have I experienced to justify my authority to do so? My authority to be so. The mind and the heart together, Gemini, through these conjunctions, it takes over the entire being. Where the head go, the entire being must go. When the heart and the head is aligned with the soul urge expression, you become it. You embody it. That's the axis of Leo and Aquarius. Leo the king, Aquarius the servant. All in one. Showing that leadership through your service. It's not as simple as doing it, but having the courage to not shy away from the conflict that is inevitable en route to that. The smoke that's inevitable en route to that. The opposition that is guaranteed to be there. This is an act of rebellion. It's an act of revolution that you should use your mind, your whole head, and your whole heart to make your life benefit you now and to serve and support you. Not somebody else's idea, system, organization, or dream, but your own. Testing the limitations. Gemini is the sign or algorithm of the mischief maker. It is the spirit of controversy. It says if. It says what if. It verifies. True or false, right or wrong, good or bad. That's part of what was missing in the time that we're coming out of with feminism and liberalism. Somebody comes along and says, hey, I'm a boy or I'm a girl. Clearly it's a man, but you want us to turn our brain off and say, oh, it's a girl. Clearly it's a girl and you want us to turn our brain off and pretend and say, oh, it's a boy. This is what feminists and liberals have done. They destroyed the power of your Mercury and moon within you. And you let them. You let them do it. This is the revival, the renewal, the restoration of your ability to trust your own logic, to trust your own head, to judge for yourself. Cancel culture had people shook to disagree with females, especially with black females. Liberalism had people shook to disagree with rainbow culture, transformers, and the people who wear the little hats on their head. We ain't even allowed to say their names. Dumbing down the society is not even an accurate expression. It literally turned the brains off of the people, and it turned them to indulgence and entertainment, distractions, and pastime instead, while manufacturing realities of truth and untruth that did not come from our own judgment, but came from the threat of our government, corporations, the left, and feminists. If you don't conform, if you don't agree, if you don't support it, if you don't enable, if you don't encourage it, if you don't fly the rainbow flag, if you don't support the degeneracy of females, if you have your own opinions, if you see that the government is doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you better not say nothing about it. You better not call it out. You better not have an opinion. Turn the brain off. Turn the consciousness off. Put duct tape around the mouth. This is what removes the duct tape. This opens the mind and consciousness with a connection to the heart again. Authentically reading data, authentically processing experiences, which means it's not in consideration or respect to who's feeding you. It's not in consideration or respect to who's paying you. It's not in consideration or respect to who you're anticipating some benefit or support from. This is a fire starter. It's going to start a fire. This is going to start revolutions all over the world. It's going to increase the coups that are already taking place. The rebellion, the rejection of false information, the pushback against conformity. Here it is right here being born. Favorably for each one of us, it's putting intelligence behind our dream. It's putting intelligence behind our life path. It's putting intelligence behind our heart soul urge and that which we have realized we're here to do. But clarity has to come first through knowledge, information, communication. So it opens up the knowledge, information, communication that brings the confidence and clarity back, so that we know why we're here, what we're doing, and how we're going to do it. You got to have data. You got to have information. You have to have knowledge. The ethereal is first before you get to the astral, before you get to the body, before you get to the actions. The ethereal is first after the sun. Mercury is closest to the sun. It gets the first read from the heart. This makes for greater authenticity. The conformity, the living life as cookie cutter patterns of each other, this is what is here to end that. Think for yourself. Be yourself. Articulate your heart. Speak for your heart. Do for you. That's what we haven't been doing. It's been about the toxic culture that we constantly entertain here in America, where everybody looks the same, thinks the same, talks the same, and behaves the same. You got the young people walking around with, young brothers walking around with poo shiesty masks in 95-degree weather. All of them trying to look like NBA Youngboy. And you got the females with these swirly sideburns and snuffleupagus eyelashes, all of them looking exactly alike. With the bonnet on in the grocery stores. Nobody is being they self today. Copycats. This brings back the foundation of self-expression and authenticity, uniqueness. It brings it back. It revives it. When you have this double portion of Mercury and the moon conjunct the sun, you arrive at Aquarius. You arrive at Uranus. This is unorthodox spirit. Unorthodox spirit. Originality. Support doesn't usually come with that. Most people are scared to be authentic. Most people are scared to be their self. Like Scarface said, right? You don't have the guts to be who you want to be. So when you become the person who has the guts to be who you want to be, you're going to have more haters than anything. People that envy you, people that's jealous of you, people that's praying for your downfall. Yeah, that's what's coming. Because most are too afraid to be authentic. Look how many people watch my videos, right? But a fraction of them will like or comment. The other ones, they suffer. They suffer from fear and hatred in themselves. Subscribe and then go sit in the back and hide out. They suffer from hatred in themselves. I got the guts to be who I want to be. And some of them could be here trying to learn how to catch that rhythm, that attitude of being who you want to be. But they're not going to support you as they absorb and harvest your energy, because that's what they're here to do. The ones that hide out, they're energy harvesters. They come here to siphon and harvest your energy because they can't figure out how to produce it for themselves. So they want to catch the spirit. They want to catch the energy that I put out and go repurpose it and reuse it for themselves and their little cowardly lives. You got to go through the same thing if you're not already. Yeah. I was born on these conjunctions. My birthday's May 28th. This is who I am. These conjunctions is this is who I am. And you hear how I deliver. It's original all day. I don't need no hand claps, no backing, no support, none of that. But I say what you scared to say. I deliver what you know is the truth, but you tremble. You shit on yourself to admit it. Yeah. So you're already listening to what that sound like. I am a Gemini. You're listening to it. The moon is supported by Jupiter. Obviously, its territory is Cancer, so you have Jupiter in Cancer. And you have the Lord of Cancer in Gemini. So Mercury tells Jupiter and the moon what to do in this situation. Because Mercury is the lord of Gemini. He's giving the orders. Jupiter is at its closing degrees. So at the closing degrees of Gemini, it's really about being at a mental capacity or stage of understanding that is conclusive. When you're at a stage where you have a conclusive understanding, you're not impressed by information, but you know how to assimilate information in a way that leads straight to empowerment and effectiveness. Is conclusive. Conclusive information is ready for action, is ready to be acted upon. Jupiter is intensifying and expanding that. All of the headlines that we've been passing through since Jupiter has been moving through Gemini is brought us to a conclusion with ourselves about what is to be impressive and what's not, what's worth our time and what's not, who we should look up to and who we shouldn't. We finally gotten to a place where we no longer look up to celebrities. We're no longer impressed by their lifestyles. We no longer are fooled by the charm and the beauty of women in this society. We're no longer under their spell because they expose themselves. We're finally free, in other words. We're free from the spell of women and feminism. We're free from the spell of the stars or celebrities. We're free from the illusions of the government and the lying politicians. We're free from the delusional dream that corporations paint for us, that it's in our best interest to conform with them and do what they want with our talents, with our strength, with our gifts, with our skills. We now see that none of it is real or true. We now see that none of it is worth our commitment. And we now see that we have to become the solution. We now see that our talents, our gifts, our strength, our capabilities, it is not here to serve women. It's not here to serve corporations, the government, or jobs that show no appreciation or honor to its subjects, employees, or partners. You see, there's a difference between the filthy rich and the common person. It's just political jargon that keeps us in a relationship a little longer, long enough to be exploited and then discarded. We see through it all. So Jupiter is at the conclusive degrees of Gemini, which is showing us the view of freedom. It's given us enough information, enough data to be decisive about taking back our freedom, to be decisive about liberation, to be decisive about investing in ourselves, turning to ourselves for solutions, empowerment, and greater outcomes. We have Mercury also reading the South Node Virgo. That's where the past ideals of perfection according to lifestyles and ways of living that were approved by the old world model. It no longer holds relevance, and we're learning to let all of that go through the South Node. And what keeps us attached to those ideals is Venus, the competition, the vanity, outer appearance, the appearance of luxury, the appearance of success, the appearance of status and happiness, the appearance of fulfillment. It's about appearance. And we use our money to sink ourselves in debt, our appetite to sink ourselves in debt, to pull off this appearance, but never achieving the actual status of. It's all illusions. Spend and borrow to look like you're happy, to look like you're successful, to look like you are the prototype, to look like relationship goals. But none of it is ever true of what you see on the screen, of what you see in the stars, of what you see of people masquerading and expensive this and expensive that. It's never true. I got a PhD, I got a master's, I got this, a high-powered career. And you would think that these are happy people. We're seeing through the illusions of it. Servants of the infrastructure and workforce model of Rothschild Rockefeller. No one became happy in that prison. No one. But everyone pretended like they were happy in order to absorb validation. But no one was happy. This is our shot at initiating true happiness after fulfillment. Our eyes are now open. You can't just give Gemini information without Gemini disseminating the information, investigating the information, trying and testing the information. Gemini is a disagreeable nature. It gives pushback. It challenges it. It strikes controversy to see if it endures. And this is the attitude that we will take on against where we're coming from and what we have been conforming to. Gemini 5 degrees, where we have the Gemini new moon. This is about going beyond established limits. Going beyond established limits. If you look in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, you look at Ivory Coast, and you look at the energy that's brewing right here in the United States, massive layoffs coming up June 2nd. There are coups and rebellions and revolutions, one after the other in the continent of Africa. And it is scaring the shit out of world leadership, knowing that it could be them any day now. It could be them any day now, because this is the energy that's coming down. Pluto in Aquarius is not fucking around. It's generating the spirit of revolution. It's quickening that spirit of revolution in the people, just as it did when it came around before. It's the return of revolutionary wars. And it starts with a little coup here, a little coup there, a little pushback here, a little pushback there. And before you know it, the chains are broken. The doors are kicked open. The new flags are established. And there's a new world. There's a new order. A new republic, a new society. New leadership. New power. This new moon, it seals the deal with the fact that those who used to have power and authority, traditionally, they're no longer going to have it. And I don't mean this for, at work there's this guy, he just peacocks around and he's not going to be in charge no more. No, this is a global expression. Who in the globe of the earth has enjoyed power since the first Pluto return? Since the first Pluto transit of Aquarius? Who has enjoyed power and superiority since that time? I'll let you answer that question, okay? The same ones who had power since then is not going to have it no more. The ones who gained dominion and authority, totalitarianism, if I said that word right, imperialism, since that time, they will no longer have it. It's someone else's turn. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's someone else's turn. Who is in power then will not be in power anymore. Once Uranus gets into Gemini, it is on. It's on and popping, just like it was the first time Uranus was in Gemini. We got to understand the times we in. Get sober. Get sober quick. Gemini 5 going beyond established limits. Fuck what you've been telling us. Fuck what y'all been on. I'm tired of nodding yes and just trying to keep the peace with just agreeing, but I'm sorry. I don't agree. I don't see it that way. No, that's not true. The data's in the fact, the evidence, it doesn't support what you're saying. No, that's not verified. This is going to be the turn. There's going to be pushback on agendas. Look what happened with Trump when he called the South African president, the president of South Africa, to the Oval Office. He thought he was pulling one on him. He thought he was ambushing the South African president. But really, he just made himself look stupid. A stack of papers with no verified information, no fact checks, a short snippet of what he called massive graves of white farmers, none of it verified. And come to find out, the video was footage of the Congo, not South Africa. Congo. Okay? But if we were in past times, maybe somebody would have believed that. But where we're at right now, the forces of the universe are not supporting delusion anymore. Trump is getting massive pushback. He's getting massive pushback on his failed attempt to expose the South African president, claiming genocide of white people, only to find, if you actually go and investigate it, Gemini, it is not true. It is simply not true. It is a false claim. He puts up a video footage of Julius Malema. Okay, you want to look him up. Julius Malema, where he chants, "Kill the boar, kill the boar," right? And he thinks he's exposing Julius Malema, asking the South African president, "Why haven't you arrested him?" Well, Trump, what makes you feel so insecure, so afraid, so nervous about what this man is saying, right? Okay? What makes you feel so nervous? Could it be that that spirit can cause cross-contamination in your country where people will be emboldened to stand up and speak out? I don't know. Maybe he foresees what could be coming. And he's getting nervous. Those people came to South Africa, knocked them over the head and took their land. But when they stand up to take the land back, you call them criminals. This has been the case all over the globe with the same people. They pull up on a ship, knock people over the head, spread diseases, steal the land, rape the women. And when somebody goes, if they dare take it back or they dare say, "Hey, you wronged me," they're portrayed as criminals or savages. Yeah, okay. We've seen this movie before. Indigenous people of the world are not allowed to do what they do, or they'll be called criminals. They're also not allowed to call them out for what they have done all over the earth except Ethiopia, because they're able to justify what they do. Okay. This changes that. The truth is the truth is the truth now. And there's no power that's going to stop the truth. And nothing's going to stop people from being emotionally connected to the truth, spellbound by the truth. That is what's coming. And the more that these filthy rich people continue to take from the middle class, the working class, the poor, you're creating that revolutionary as you take. Have you ever tried to fight somebody who don't got nothing to lose? Yeah. When you have something to lose, you are full of hesitation. When you don't have nothing to lose, there's no stop button. You have no hesitation. You will take it all the way. The one who has nothing to lose will go farther than the one who has something to lose. They will go farther, even unto death. And that is what they are creating out of their own arrogance. They're creating a society of people who have nothing. And for that, they will have nothing to lose. And when the people have nothing to lose, they are the ones who now are in danger. They become the ones who put themselves in danger. Because that's how these coups d'etats take place. The people lose everything that they live for. The land, the ability to afford to get married and raise children, to feed themselves, medical care, dignity, self-determination, independence. When you lose all of these things, yeah, you're willing to die. This is where the attitude and spirit of humanity is headed to. It is coming. It's coming to every nation, every community, and in a microcosm, it's coming to every place in your natal chart where you have Gemini as a ruling algorithm or spirit. That's where it's coming to. I have nothing to lose anyway, so I'm going to give you the business. I have nothing to lose because you won't give me nothing anyway. Understand? Going beyond establishment limits, this is pioneership. This is Aquarius. This is Uranus. This is the outer rings of Saturn that we're stepping into through the ethereal. That is utilizing knowledge, data, information, and the power and force of our wisdom and experience to reach those outer limits. To reach it, we are empowered by the moon. And to be empowered by the moon, you are empowered by experience. You are empowered by insight. You are empowered by wisdom, intuitive force. You are also empowered by identifying with the collective sentiments of other people. And that is what will propel you beyond the limits that are established, welcoming the smoke of rebellion and rejection. Revolutionary energy is all over this. What would that look like for you, where you have Gemini in your natal birth chart? You do want to sign up for a natal birth chart reading so that you could get a clear understanding of what this means in your life for you specifically. Understand, through things that you are going to come to know, through things that you are going to come to understand, through paying attention to listening to from an unbiased ear, through filtering through your heart and not the opinions of others. Once we learn to shut out the collective opinion, the opinion that is ongoing and popular from Instagram, social media, and all these platforms, and especially the opinion of attractive females in this society, popular people in this society, celebrities in this society, and politicians in this society, when we get back to hearing ourselves, our own voice, and not those opinions that go viral, not those opinions that get a lot of likes and accolades, okay? This is when we get to the information that moves us to a revolutionary state. Because of this conjunction, conformity is not going to work anymore. People are not just going to fall in line and accept what politicians are saying. They're not going to fall in line and accept the narrative that females are saying. They're not going to fall in line and accept the narratives and ideals that celebrities are projecting or inviting to. All three of these, corporations as well, people are not going to fall in line and accept the fraction of value and benefit that they get from their invested energy, sacrifice, and hard work, while others eat good and get filthy rich and give them the leftovers. No, all of these things are going to change. People are going to be not only opinionated, but proactive on what their convictions are and what they see and understand to be true. Okay, so this is a time where it's not going to go smooth like it used to. It's not going to be quiet no more. All right, this is like when the child becomes a teenage adolescence and his snapback is pop back and all that other stuff. You understand? This is where the people gonna get sassy, and for lack of a better words. It's not just gonna be words. Understand? It's not just gonna be words. It's gonna be a willingness to push back, resist, and rebel, demanding to get consequence for the self. Now, with energy being on a continuum, okay, Gemini 5 degrees, we have to consider where this energy evolves at, okay, which is 5-6 degrees, which in other words is Gemini 6 degrees, okay? So we're coming from Gemini 5 degrees going beyond the established limits, okay? This is through realization that there is something beyond or behind what they selling to us. There is more behind or to the picture or the story than what is proposed or what is offered. And it's accessible to us if we get the nerve to take it or to have it. You understand? Or whatever the case may be. But Gemini 6, this is zealous appetite. Okay, this is generating zealous appetite in the people. Zealous appetite. This goes under the Sabian symbol, drilling for oil. It is an insatiable questing for information. An insatiable questing for information and knowledge that takes us into emotional process and the uncovering of dark secrets. Curiosity is going to generate at realizing that what has been offered or proposed to you is a fraction of what you could have access to, of what you could have the right to, if you're willing to fight for it. Understand? So in knowing that there's more behind there that you have a right to, or that is fair for you, you're not going to overlook it. A zealous appetite for knowledge. This also goes with zeal driving you to become more competent about where you realize your destiny is heading you to. Through zeal. A zealous commitment to knowing the scope of duty and responsibility behind the journey that you must take, or the process that you have to submit to in order to have a greater outcome for yourself, and the sacrifices that you're willing to make. Zealous appetite is what this is generating. Understand? So, along with this zealous appetite, because it's the moon, it's going to show people, and remember that this goes along the same timeline as we're about to have another massive layoff. The collective is going to see, hold up now, we are the ones who's of value. We're the ones with the skill. We're the ones with the knowledge and the training. We're the ones with the power. So how can we use our power to serve ourselves instead of these filthy rich corporations, industries, executives, politicians, organizations, institutions? How can we use it for ourselves? And that's what generates the zealous appetite to learn what needs to be learned, to create it. Understand? Gemini 8 is self-explanatory in that it is a revolt against injustice, an assertive expression of the self. This goes with Mercury, expression, okay, through communication, expression through communication. And what this foresees is that certainly rebellion is on the way. Okay, remember again, June 2nd, there's another wave of massive layoffs. Most who's affected of this would be liberals, okay, office working liberals. And with this massive wave of layoffs, America itself is in a predicament of crisis, okay, with affordability. Being able to afford a home, a vehicle, car payments is through the roof, on average running between $800 and $1,500 now a month, okay? Paying rent is astronomical. The idea of I'm going to buy a house, or, you know, the young man or young woman who wants to move out and get their own place, these are now not commonly accessible to people. It's not accessible to the common person anymore. The cost of living, it is a marathon to endure. It's great hardship to afford living on your own, maintaining your independence and your dignity. Homelessness is an epidemic. And more are going to add to the fire of this disaster very soon with the wave of layoffs June 2nd. But this time, it's not going to be something that people just accept. It's not going to be something that people just say, okay, this is, it is what it is. There's going to be pushback. There's going to be rebellion. There's going to be a fight back. They're going to hold those accountable who are responsible for the outcome. It's not going to be a pretty sight. The revolt against injustice can have its expression in politics, in the workplace, in your family. That context depends on where do you have Gemini in your natal birth chart. That is where you can anticipate that there will certainly be rebellion. There's going to be assertive expressions of the self. People speaking in interests of the self, on behalf of the self, advocating for the self, vocalizing what has been fermenting inside of the heart for years. Just letting it out. There could be some malicious woundings from the tongue behind this. Some hard conversations to be had. Nipping in the bud. I'm not doing this no more. I'm not tolerating that. You know what? I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time. Something you need to know. Let me tell you something. So on and so forth. Yeah, all that. People are not taking it anymore. So you should know that. Nobody is taking it no more. Across the board, Gemini. At the house, at the job, in society, people not taking it no more. So anywhere where there has been injustice and oppression that's ongoing, where people have been trying to give grace and say nothing, let it slide. Okay, I'm not going to make no noise. It's okay. You know what? I'm going to just keep my head down, keep quiet. No, it's coming out now. And when it comes out, it ain't going to be wrong. It's going to be justified. We could see massive protests in the streets. We could see strikes. Just like we did back in, was that the winter or last summer? With the trucks, the truckers going on strike, okay? We could see strikes again. The mask already came off, and people have already lost the facade, okay, in America, all over the world. Every country, people have lost the facade. Nobody wants to pretend anymore to get along. People are tired of putting up with oppression and injustice, unfairness. People are tired. People are tired of playing dumb. People are tired of biting their tongue and not saying nothing when they know that you know better and how you treating them. People are tired of it, and they're not going to put up with it anymore. Globally, we are going to see a rise of rebellions, revolutions, pouring out into the streets, protesting, picketing, revolting. We should know who we are as humanity, as the people. In this stage of our evolution, we are the revolutionaries. We are the rebels. That's who we are. So any oppression and injustice is going to get the same reaction everywhere across the board. This indicates the Sabian symbol, an industrial strike, a revolt against injustice. Okay? This degree is my birth degree. Okay? I was born on this degree. And y'all hear me on here every day. You could tell I was born on this degree. You can hear it in my voice. Because I speak beyond the limit. I speak like somebody who ain't getting ready to take that shit. You understand? You can hear it in my voice. I was born on this degree. I am a rebel. I am a revolutionary. It's who I am. I embody this energy. And it's backed by Mars. I got a Sun-Mars conjunction. Fuck you mean? It's not a bluff, nigga. Shit ain't no fucking bluff. You can hear it. Yeah. So everybody gonna be on the same thing I'm on. Get ready for that. It's a revolt against injustice. Whenever the powerful and rich take advantage, the rebelliousness is close at hand. Assertive expression of the self. Huh? You ain't talking over me. Right? No, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. You understand? Taking command of our destiny. Willing to fight for it. Tensions arise between haves and have-nots, and is a primary cause of civil unrest. Understand that. Understand that. The haves and the have-nots is coming to a head. America is fermenting and concentrating a common pain of not having what we know we should have. In Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore fought to bring his country to a point where there is zero debt. And he's fighting to make housing, medical, education free for all the citizens. Self-determination by industrializing the country for themselves off of their natural resources. He's a repeat of Gaddafi. He relives Gaddafi, who Obama took out. Yeah, your boy Obama took him out. He's a repeat of Gaddafi. And everybody loves him. All the powers of the world loves him, except for the people who wanted to use him. Everybody loves Ibrahim Traore, except for the leeches and the vampires who want to exploit him, except for the people who want to have their hand in his pocket, except for the people who want to use him. France, America too. They're the only ones who don't like him. But yet Ibrahim Traore has sent no aggressive message, threat, challenges. None of that. But he's loved by all the people of the world. All the youth of Africa, Jamaica, and many other countries. They cheer him on. Yeah. There's a reason for that. Because he embodies this attitude. Assertively, not aggressively. He asserts his will to see self-determination and prosperity without being aggressive. And we ought to learn to do the same thing by opportunity of these transits. That's the energy that's available. The have and the have-nots is in the boiling pot. Americans right here realizing I should be able to afford a car payment or to buy a car. I should be able to afford to buy a house or rent a home without having to worry about, will I eat? Can I pay the electric? My phone bill? Gas, insurance, so on and so forth. Americans are stretched out in the dollar. They're working harder than ever. But the money the money stretches lesser and lesser. But the demand on the money gets bigger and bigger. And Americans are fed up with that reality because we didn't come here to suffer so that the filthy rich can get fatter and fatter and more content swimming in their money. Yeah, that's the truth. The filthy rich swimming in money. But there's a miserable reality denied to the average American to fulfill their destiny and fate as a citizen of this country. Men should be able to have the confidence, at least, to say, if I like this woman, I'm gonna marry her. But even if he likes a woman, he has to hesitate because he got to ask himself the question realistically, can you afford to take care of a wife? Can you afford to establish a home with children and a wife? Can you afford it? So niggas ain't out here thinking about marriage. People are scared to have babies. Who got money for a new baby? Who the fuck can afford that in this economy? Yeah. So the birth rate has dropped. The marriage rate has dropped. All of this has dropped because people are terrified that they can't finance it. They can't afford it. When life becomes more affordable, yeah, you're going to see people getting married. You're going to see more people having children. Dignity and self-determination. Pride again. They're at the point of taking the very dignity from the American and self-determination, their access to self-determination. When you take that away, you have nothing. And when you have nothing, you become very dangerous. That is what they seem to overlook. Because people don't remain dumb forever. In the new moon Gemini, a Mercury conjunct Sun Gemini, it turns the dumb person into a high power, intelligent fortress. Understand that. The people are going to be everything but dumb now. The dumbness of the American, oh, that's gone now. With this conjunction, these two, a double conjunction, and Jupiter is in Gemini, yeah, you have some fucking geniuses walking the earth now. Niggas is going to be able to read the room like a fucking high-tech goddamn AI, you know, the intelligence, the level of intelligence, the wit, the speed of calculating data and processing information. Yes, we are on one. It's like we took an Adderall. You know what I mean? It's an Adderall effect, for real. These two, this double conjunction with Jupiter is an Adderall effect. It's like you swallowed an Adderall. Understand? That's the people. We took an Adderall now. Now we could keep up with what's going on. You know what I mean? The magician is trying to swift shovel cards here and flip a card there. Nah, nigga, I seen that shit. You know what I mean? I seen that. Nah, nigga, you put the card right there. Nah, it's right there. Yeah, you ain't fooling me. I seen that. Nah, I seen that. I caught that. That's what we on now.